And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's another snack pack. A lot of snacks are going to be distributed over the course of the next few months, so be prepared. Got plenty of time to talk about it. It is, of course, shut up, Joe. Of course, it's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Tomorrow's episode that I'm going to drop is a State of Pro Wrestling, where we talk about AEW, WWE, and more. So go ahead and join John Orlando from the PVD Cast and I as we talk pro wrestling on the State of Pro Wrestling on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We just talked about the winners and losers of the NFL Draft, Sean Grice and Dominic and Chris Sardieri from the Domination Sports Nation, and I discuss Inside Sports Fantasy Football for you. The NFL Draft, who won, who lost, who picked well, who didn't, some of the good picks in the first round, and what was the deal with all the quarterbacks chosen in the first 12 picks. We discuss all of that on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus also, of course, our good friends, Mr. Joe Soro right there. He is, of course, Ox 1947, and you can find that at LakersBall.com. Plus his company you need to support today, Simblades with Y.com. Also our good friends, of course, Empire Jeff TV, Lakers in 5. Of course, also as well, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Also as well, John McCallion channel. Big shout out to John McCallion. He looks very happy right now. I've seen the pictures on the social media. So big shout out to you, my friend. Also want to go ahead and give a big mention to John Costa, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Go ahead and follow him there. Our Lakerholics crew of Laker Tom, who's already out with the crazy trades. 2 first-round draft picks and 2 swaps for Miles Turner. Stop the infatuation with Miles Turner. It's been going on for years, Laker Tom. Please, stop.
Wait, what?
2 swaps, 2 first-round picks.
Where are they pulling the swaps from? 2084?
He's pulling it out of his ass. He just said 2 swaps and 2 first-round picks for Miles Turner. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But go ahead and take care of them or tell them what you think at Lakerholics.com. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
What happens when you smoke dope, folks. Yes, I said it. And yes, I have friends that smoke dope and they're jackasses. Yes, I love them, but they're jackasses. And when you smoke too much, there is always a side effect. And the side effect for Laker Tom is massive delusion. It's science, guys. It's science.
It's there. So follow him at Laker Tom and Lakerholics.com. That's all I'll say on that one. But also, of course, our good friend Stone Hansen. Big shout out to him. He's doing a lot of good work with the NBA draft at report_ on Twitter. Follow all these great places, including us, by liking and subscribing and following today wherever you get the Lakers Fast Break. So the Lakers, again, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They're vacationing somewhere already. Should Rob be vacationing? Should he be taking some time off? Or should he be given plenty of time off by letting him go? Or just how much blame do you put on Rob Pelinka? We'll talk about that here coming up in a sec. But I want to go ahead and touch on something. Gustavo, who seems to be a new viewer. Appreciate you joining us, Gustavo. He's got a question for you. And I will go ahead and hit up. We'll start off with the first man here. First man up. It is, of course, Joe Soro from Simblades with the Y.com. Cool, bro. I'm glad you've listened to reason and common sense that we've tried to provide you on this show. He deleted his imaginary AI dating app. Thank goodness. But I want to ask you this, Joe. Cool, bro aside. What about the rumor of JJ Redick? Because you're going to hear every rumor. You heard every rumor so far. You've yelled at me on a few already as coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Why would they hire JJ Redick?
Because he's buddy with LeBron.
What is this, freaking fraternity? What is this? What do you mean his buddy?
saying his buddy. I mean, they appeared on a podcast together. They enjoyed time.
So kind of like how Russell Westbrook was his buddy and he championed that trade.
And that worked out really well, didn't it?
Yeah, no, thank you. This team needs someone that has experience as a head coach at the very least at this point, and someone who can command the respect of the two stars.
Okay. Yeah, they did. They did appear on a pod together, and I don't know.
Yeah, I've watched exactly 0 minutes of it. When JJ Redick called Jerry West's era a bunch of plumbers and continues to talk smack about the 90s players too, that's a delusional. I don't care if he played in the NBA for 15 years. He's a jackass. Because I guarantee you right now, if JJ Redick played against Hakeem Olajuwon would wrap him up, put him in a ball, and shove him up his own ass. And that was the epitome of a 90s player. Oh, and by the way, the greatest athlete of our lifetime played in that decade. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. And they played against Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. Shall I go on?
I think Gustavo got his answer. And then my apologies, Gustavo. I
gotta do a statistic
appreciate
here.
It.
I have a really, really good feeling that the majority of the people in the 75 all-time team are from the 80s and 90s.
That's correct.
So again, do you really want someone, Gustavo, this is an answer to your question. Do you really want someone that dense or dunst, whatever the hell you want to call it, controlling and being a leader on your team? Now, if he was smart, talking smack, that's fine. It's easy. All the young guys crack on the old guys crack on the young guys because they're like, we walk through 18 miles of snow with no shoes, on our hands with, one leg. Okay, I get it. But this guy actually meant it. And now he's going into the 90s now. Once he got into the 90s, that was it at that point. Because I can see how, to some degree, in the 60s, maybe they weren't as opportunity seeking. I get it. I know there was a time at that time. I knew what was going on. However, that era, the Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, West, Elgin Baylor, all those guys built the foundation of what your dumbass was able to play in for 15 years. So to disrespect the people that created the foundation, it just goes to show you that you don't really think, or you're just trying to get clicks, just like every other young chump.
Gustavo, I think you got your answer on that one. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights.
What would JJ Redick say if I told him that? What's he going to come back with? That would be a really good question.
Daniel Barry Sports Highlights says, seeing Hart make the three that we shouldn't have traded him. Well, you wouldn't have gotten AD if you didn't trade Hart. So I don't know.
I'll do my annual Tibbs impression. Josh, hedge the screen. Hedge the screen.
There you go. But thank you for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. The thing is, I mean, okay, we keep Hart, but then you don't get AD. So it's we got a championship with AD. So, I mean, it's neither here nor there. But again.
Hey, cool, bro. Cut the bullshit with these AIs and these cutting heads and shit. Either you talk about basketball or sports or peace out.
Get out.
I'm about up to here with this shit. Seriously. We don't need to hear about this stuff anymore. Cut it out.
Yes, it is weird, cool, bro, that you photoshopped a picture of you next to Olivia.
I don't like talking about that kind of stuff on this show. I don't want any of this stuff down 5 years from now, fighting about how you were compromised in some way and we were involved. Then we get thrown into that. Look, you want to go cut pictures of women and do all that? Go do it on your own time. Cut that shit out. This is a basketball show. We're family men.
No, I'm in agreement with Joe on that, cool, bro. We're a basketball show, and
I'm talking to you, cool, bro. This is our show. Gerald, Sean, and Joe, and on occasion, John Costa, Laker Tom, and Jamie Sweet. Our show. Get your shit together. Stop talking about cutting girls' heads and putting them on your pictures. I don't like that shit.
It is, of course, the Lakers fast break.
Yeah, I said it. Yeah, that's why I don't get in trouble. That's why I don't have any cases. That's why I don't get arrested, because I'm like that.
It is weird, yes. Before
I work and then I come home, baby. And when I go out, I got a crew that I've known for 10, 20, 30 years. That's how you live life, baby. Because you can still have fun. I'm not saying you can't look, but this area right here, this is about Laker basketball and a little bit of fun stuff too. But enough of the cutting of the picture stuff. Come on. No more. You want to talk about Star Wars? That's fine too.
Okay. And on that note,
that's my public service announcement for the evening.
The cool bro announcement for the evening. Okay. Sean is also here. The madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic after the Toronto Maple Leafs won tonight to go ahead and stop on by to talk basketball with us and the future of Rob Pelinka. Before we get into Rob Pelinka, I wanted to go ahead and hit up some more chat comments for you, Sean. Lakers All Day Dope is reviving, although actually he's not the first. It's actually been like 2 or 3 people have been reviving that. They really are dead set on getting Dejounte Murray from Atlanta. I almost feel weird or almost feel bad that I started all this talk about Dejounte Murray like back in late November, I think, on that as far as him as a prospect out there. And now look what it's snowballed into. But tell me your thoughts, my friend, because it's clear that Atlanta is going to have to make a move. Should the Lakers be interested in either Trae Young or Dejounte Murray based on what they probably want in Atlanta for us to give up?
Not for the price point they're looking for, Gerald. No way. No way. And just to be perfectly honest here, did Atlanta even get to the play-in tournament, Gerald?
No.
They did not. They
finished under 500, one of the worst defenses in the league. Yeah, it speaks for itself.
I think a lot of people sort of need to do a reimagining of Dejounte Murray. Gerald, do you think that his prowess that he showed defensively in San Antonio had more to do with scheme or more to do with playing beside one Derek White?
As we're now seeing from the way he's playing in Boston, and it looks like Derek White was really that good. And Pop looks like he blew it on his evaluation.
He blew, yes, Gerald again with a shot at Pop.
He looks like he blew it.
I love it. Gerald disses Murray and Pop in the same breath. I love it. Yeah, he blew it.
Now, Murray is good. I think Murray is good. But he cannot play well with Trae Young. Those two have to be separated.
Yes.
But he is not, I think, at the level that
he's not a game changer. He's not the game changer.
Is he a true number 3? Like Joe's asking for that big number 3. I just don't think he's that number 3 that is going to move the needle enough for us.
I agree with my fellow panelists, Joe Soro and Gerald Glassford. I don't think he's a number 3. I think he could be a number 4 or number 5 on a championship team. He's just not a number 3. Still a good defender, and he can come up with some clutch shot making, but that's few and far between. That you'll get that once every 5 or 6, 7 games. Sometimes he disappears.
Yeah, Lakers All Day is considering him a number 3. I just don't think you win 50 games with him as your number 3. I think he's a good guard. I said that when we initially put him out there as a possible trade piece, but I just don't think he is at that level that Lakers All Day wants him to be.
And to piggyback off that, even if you acquired Trey Young, you still have a gaping hole defensively with him out there.
With Murray, you don't.
No, you do
And I'll
not.
give him that. And he's tall, 6'5". Is he a true point guard? It's like he's like D'Angelo. He's point guard enough.
Yeah, and maybe Trey Young is 6 foot tall in shoes. I don't think he's 6 foot tall. You'd still have a huge gaping hole defensively, unless you had somebody like DeAnthony Melton in your back pocket ready to be signed. I wouldn't go after somebody like Trey Young because he needs somebody like that in the backcourt with him to help both alleviate, accentuate, and ameliorate all his defensive flaws. And Trey has the clutch gene, Gerald. He's a really brilliant pick and roll savant. That being said, there are just too many flaws he has defensively where you consider him a number one or a number two on a championship level team. And I don't even think the generational talent defensively that AD is could hide most of his defensive flaws in the 7-game series in the playoffs. I think somebody would be able to attack him mercilessly.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Snack Pack with Magic Man Sean Grice and Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. It's not to say we wouldn't like Dejounte Murray on the team, but if you're going to trade, they gave up 3 first-round draft picks, Joe. I'm going to head it back over to you. And Sean, please interject if you like. They gave 3 first-round draft picks, Joe, to give up for Dejounte Murray. That's what they would probably be looking for in return. That's probably what they were looking for at the trade deadline for him in the first place.
Well, I don't know why an NBA audience is surprised when these trades happen. Folks, no one is going to Atlanta freely. No one is going to Minnesota freely. No one is going to Charlotte freely.
Minnesota may change.
No, they won't, because they already have a big 3 there. There's not going to be enough money to go there anyways, and it's still Minnesota.
I think Gerald means that somebody like Ant is a culture changer, and he could actually break through that wall for them. Never know. I mean,
who went to Minnesota in the early 2000s when KG was in his prime?
Well, and they did go to the
nobody.
Sprewell was traded there.
They had to trade for Starbury. They had to trade for Starbury.
Right.
They had to trade for Spree. They had to trade.
The only way this, thing gets evened out is if they put a true hard cap down. Then at that point it won't matter because people have to go get their money where it is, and the money would spread out.
Well,
which I am not in support of, by the way.
Wally wasn't a culture changer there, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he had the ladies happy there. Oh, yes. I liked him there very much. As a matter of fact, I think KG didn't like it either because he's like, I'm the star here yet. Why is Wally getting all the extracurricular stuff? Even guys get jealous, man.
Because Wally's got game.
I'm just going to say it's about Dejounte Murray. He hasn't moved the needle, and I said it to Lakers. I appreciate his input, and I can understand his reasoning because he's a tall guard who can at times play decent defense against some of the bigger guards that you have in the league. But he's played for 2 franchises, guys, already, and he's not moved the needle for either one. I think with that kind of history, it just does not bode well, Sean, for Dejounte Murray if you were to give up everything that Atlanta wants in order to get him.
Yeah, no way, Gerald. And we're dealing with Drake's illegitimate twin, Landry Fields, who happens to be the GM of the Hawks now. Like you said, he's going to want a return on the investment that they had to give away. I mean, for goodness sake, Travis Schlenk was imploring the Hawks not to make this move. Like, you're not a Dejounte Murray away from being an Eastern Conference contender. Like they managed to find themselves in a less than superior bracket once upon a time in the playoffs, Gerald. They got all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they convinced themselves that they were just a big defensive guard away from competing with the Bucks, from competing with the Celtics, and they weren't. They were 3 or 4 moves away, and they gave up the farm for Dejounte Murray, and it's come back to bite them in the behind.
Let me ask you this. I know you weren't great on your sizes the other day, and I know that's been, we corrected on that. But how tall is Austin Reeves?
Isn't he 6'4"?
6'5".
Okay.
That's what it's listed as. What is Dejounte Murray listed as?
6'5".
Okay. And now, mind you, he's a little more athletic than obviously Austin Reeves is. Austin Reeves, of course, when he didn't get the job done playing defense when it mattered the most at the end of games, but he held or was the primary defender in holding Jamal Murray to under was he under 40% or 45% from the field in the series?
I think he was under 42%, if I'm not mistaken.
So if you're holding one of their best players, Joe, to under 45% shooting in the series, you got to like your chances if that's the case.
You're talking about
You're talking about your Austin Reeves. Now, I'm not advocating 100% that that's what you do. You keep Austin Reeves, but saying that you.
I'm advocating to keep Austin Reeves.
Yeah,
unless you have a.
Because Dejounte Murray, you would have to trade Austin Reeves, a package of firsts.
No, it's not. I don't know what this obsession with Dejounte Murray is. Why is everyone keep talking about this guy?
Well, Lakers all day has been, but it's been actually mentioned. I mean, it was mentioned ad nauseum during the trade
deadline. You would need
$68
million to trade for Trey and Murray.
Well, they would only trade for one of those contracts.
Okay, Dejounte Murray isn't going to move anything if you get him, and especially if you're moving a guy that's already built continuity with your team, which is Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves should be traded in a package for a legitimate game changer for this team, not parallel universes. If Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks would have to say, we have to blow this up. Let's just stockpile draft picks. It would likely have to be a 3-team situation from what I'm seeing. So a 3-team deal, whoever the third team is, that team gets something of value, but the Hawks are getting draft picks from that team. The Hawks are getting draft picks from the Lakers. And then Trey comes here. Maybe the third team unloads something to Atlanta. I don't know. It's a headache. It's a headache that we're not going to really know we can delve into until it's a legitimate option. But it's really not going to be, guys. Atlanta can get. There are several teams right now needing Trae Young, that they might be a Trae Young away from being a possible second-round participant should they get him. Who's that? One is Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
They
need him now after they were just eliminated.
Right. Now, if you go out west, is there something with Phoenix that they can do?
There's no way in hell Joel Embiid will play with Tyrese Maxey and Trae Young. No way in hell.
That's not a good fit. That's two small guards.
You're telling me that.
No way in hell.
You're telling me that if they want to win, they would balk at playing with someone who's a bona fide point guard who can shoot?
Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gerald.
I was going to say Mikal Bridges. Remember, everybody, or not everybody, but there were several teams that inquired about Mikal Bridges last year to the Nets, and the Nets refused any deal, including.
And why would the Nets get rid of the one guy?
4 number 1 draft picks offered for him. That was rumored, and they turned him down. And he had a clunker of a year. So his value is less, but is Brooklyn still going to go ahead and be interested in trading their supposed best player? So on Austin Reeves, I agree with you, Eric. I think he's best as a 6-man coming off the bench.
If he's playing on a championship team, that would be his ideal position.
Yes.
Absolutely. Which means Rui, a sign and trade with D'Angelo if you want to go get that big player, and then the fillers like Gabe Vincent and Vanderbilt, and then the draft picks. That's going to be the assets that have to go out, and there has to be value in those draft picks. If the Lakers keep their pick this year, there could be something there. They obviously have it next year. Or actually, they can't trade next year's pick if they give this pick, so it would have to be 2026, right?
Yeah.
So let's say two first-round picks and smaller contracts for likely a player that could be a game changer. He doesn't necessarily have to be a third star, but maybe a game changer that could supplant the 2 stars. That's what they're looking for. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who would be. Anyone good enough that I'd want I don't think is attainable.
Gustavo,
and remember, guys, most of the people who come to LA either have demanded to be traded to LA or have come as free agents.
I still think that's one of the best options for D'Lo is to come back to the Lakers. Although he did hurt his overall value with his inconsistent performance, Magic Man, in the playoffs. I think there's a couple teams out there like Orlando, San Antonio that are in need of a good shooting point guard that might be interested in his services if their first options don't. D'Lo is not a first option for a lot of these teams out there, but as a second or third option, he will be looked at closely when he makes himself available for free agency.
The Magic are prioritizing re-signing Markelle Fultz, Gerald. They're not going to look at D'Lo.
That's just absolutely nuts. Why? Tell me why. You shoot better from 3 than he does.
You know what, Gerald? It's a lot of this,
I'm going to talk to Alfred tomorrow in the afternoon, so here on the show. So I'll find out for sure if that's the case. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. I would rather put the ball in Franz Wagner's hands anyway, Gerald. I would make him the de facto point guard of the Orlando Magic, and you need quality players there. No, I agree. You need some outside shooting help, but I don't think, Jamal Mosley really has them playing well defensively. That's been a bit of a surprise to me, and I don't think D'Lo fits into their culture at all. Especially Gerald. In game 4. In game 3, after struggling mightily, D'Angelo Russell was seen on the bench, filing his nails rather than being in a team huddled timeout. I just don't think he's a wee player in the playoffs, Gerald. I think he's me.
There you go. Absolutely. Cool, bro. Give it up. But I will ask you this, guys. Yes.
I think, cool, bro, you're on your last leg. I'm just going to tell you right now. You're getting closer and closer to being dead, bro, very, very soon.
But it's also called experience, cool, bro. When you've been out of the court as long as Joe and I have, we would just find ways to make your life uncomfortable when you're out there on the court. And I'll leave it at that.
The issue with D'Angelo Russell is probably the same issue we've had with the leadership there. Yeah. It's not to give him a reason to do what he did, but this is a business decision to sign him. This is not about feelings right now or whether he was filing his nails.
I saw Phil
Jackson. I saw Phil Jackson looking at his nails and flicking the
dirt.
The dirt out of his beds plenty of times during my Laker viewing life.
Phil Jackson has has that right.
But you're talking about just asset management.
You've put yourself in a position where you have to sign him. It's not you muck this up. You cannot lose that asset. You lose that asset, then everything you did is trash. And that, to me, would warrant a firing if I'm the owner on Rob Pelinka's part. You should have already been fired for letting Caruso go, for nothing. But we give you a little bit of a break because maybe you thought THT would be, who was 7 years younger, maybe he would be that guy, and he decided to invest in him. Well, you got that wrong. You got the front court wrong this year. You didn't help AD or the rebounding issue. You didn't get a backup point guard that was of any value. Unfortunately, you got another Miami dead zombie player. It's just it's gotten to this point now where there's a pattern happening with your general manager, and that's the subject for tonight's show.
And before we go into that, just one last thing on Dejounte Murray. He's got to go ahead and do that on his own.
What is the deal with you guys are like Laker Tom with Dejounte Murray? It's like, what is going on here? Why didn't
they're going to be separated, Joe? But when you
what is this deal with where did I not miss something today?
He's a one-time All-Star.
Who cares about Dejounte Murray?
Obviously, Lakers All Day does. But
Who the hell is Lakers All Day?
One of our commenters show.
Where?
He's in the chat.
He's in the chat, man.
So Lakers All Day, who I've not seen in the chat, is asking about Dejounte Murray.
Yes, that's correct.
And what is the deal with Dejounte Murray? Why is he the subject tonight? Did something happen? I'm being honest.
No, he's just become a fascination again. The past couple of days, not just Lakers All Day, but there's been 2 or 3 others in our chat over the past couple of days that have revived the fascination with Dejounte Murray because he did play well when Trae Young was not in the lineup. I will give him that. But again, results matter, as you always talk about, Joe. And he has played as Magic Man on the Spurs and the Hawks, and they've not done very well, even though he has achieved an all-star status, I believe, on one occasion. He's just not been able to be a needle mover to overall winning for the team. He's a stats guy. The problem is he a winning culture guy?
Of course he played well with LeBron and AD. He's a young, athletic.
So would you give up all the assets for him?
No. Why? That's what's the mind. Like, what assets? What assets are you talking? Like all our assets? Like Austin Reeves?
The 3 first-round draft picks.
No.
Austin Reeves.
No. What are you, nuts? 3? No.
I'm just telling you.
No. That shouldn't even be a discussion. 1 first-round draft pick this year. And maybe a third team involved in there so that Atlanta can get maybe another player in there, and then we
1 first rounder. I'll think about.
Yeah, 1. No, there's no hell no. Anybody who gives up. Look, Atlanta gave up what they gave up because they're the Atlanta Hawks. No one is going to Atlanta. They had no choice. So the Lakers have a choice. They can get people that want to come here and play with LeBron and AD. It's just a matter of can this general manager figure out how to find that guy now that they have a few more things that they can put together. They have some contracts that are friendly enough to trade that people would take. And then they got to sign, first and foremost, they got to sign D'Angelo Russell.
Well, they obviously didn't like the deal that we offered for Dejounte Murray during the course of the trade deadline. So we would obviously have to think about revisiting it with something more substantial in their eyes in Atlanta, and I'm not sure that's going to be the case, Joe.
In 7 seasons, 8, he tore his ACL early on with the Spurs, but in 7 seasons, Gerald, he's been on 3 playoff teams, and one of those teams had to win a play-in game.
He is on a decent contract, about $25 million.
Gerald, aren't you? So here's my philosophy.
Of course.
When it comes to big guys in the front court, you always wanna be skeptical on whether or not they've elevated their team to make the playoffs. It's the one reason why Kevin Love was always thought of lesser than by hoop heads than just about every other NBA analysis or casual. Kevin Love never took the Wolves to the playoffs. They didn't even sniff a playoff appearance when Kevin Love was there. The difference between, say, him and a Chris Bosh elevated the Raptors when they drafted him. Took a couple years, but the Raptors eventually won division title, and that's one of the reasons why the Heat went to 4 straight finals and won 2 of them. And when you put Kevin Love with LeBron James, how many did he help him win, Gerald? 1.
Now,
When it comes
if you throw in Capella and Bogey and start making a package out of it,
That's different, yeah.
it's different.
When it comes to guards, more important than result results at the beginning is effort and continuity. And quite frankly, we saw that on the Spurs, Pop didn't really give a rip about Dejounte Murray his last 2 years there. He really didn't. He, as Gerald said, he blew it with Derek White. They gave Derek White away. I mean, they got 3 first rounders for Murray, which was surprising in and of itself because he should have gotten 3 for Derek White. But they basically gave Derek White away. They didn't get equal compensation for him. Pop blew that one, and then they decided, you know what? Let's just get rid of another headache because as curmudgeonly as he knows guard talent. He brought up Tony Parker when he was a rookie and ripped his ass up and down the court, Gerald, his rookie season. Um, his first 2 years, he basically almost bludgeoned Tony Parker. Tony Parker almost retired from the from the verbal berating that he got from Greg Popovich, but eventually Tony Parker turned in one of the greatest playoff performers of all time, Gerald. He had Manu Ginobili. He's had great guards before. He knows what a great guard looks like. And for him to just say bye bye to Murray should be a red alarm for people. It should have been. And that's what Travis Schlenk tried to tell the Atlanta Hawks. But as Joe said, buffoon's gonna buffoon. And you want to give 3 first round picks for us for that guy? Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Magic Man Sean Grice, Joe Soro, me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks for watching, listening. Truly appreciate the super chat from Turd War. Also, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Turd War says, I really look forward to listening to y'all. Other Lakers channels are too PC, scared to lose credentials or valuable relationships. We need new ownership. So with that in mind, Joe, let's turn to our main topic of the evening, the guy that's on the JPEG that I threw up there, and that is Rob Pelinka, or Rob Stinka. But I want to ask you this, Joe. I mean, he has crafted this team now, or been a part of the decision process all the way leading back to Magic. And whoever, I don't remember who in the chat said you would want to go back to Magic. I think you're just kidding yourself on that one. Do you not see Ivica Zubats playing for the Los Angeles Clippers right now? That's a Magic Johnson trade with Rob Pelinka in the room, by the way. I'm blaming both of them. When it comes down to it, Joe, Rob Pelinka, he has not gotten the job done. Let's just be quite frank. He made the trade at last year's deadline that salvaged the team that went to the Western Conference Finals, started making him look good. But I had always said that's one opportunity because he's had many opportunities to make trades and evaluate talent and blown it on many occasions. Your thoughts on Rob Pelinka? Is it time for him to go at this point in time?
Pelinka's been a famine or feast type GM. Either it's been all good or terrible. It's just now it's starting to creep up to terrible more. Discussing on whether he's going to get replaced might be a waste of time for us because I don't believe there's going to be
He's
a
probably not
changing
going
of
to
the
be
guard
gone.
there. No. We could sit here and talk about all the available GMs. We could sit here and talk about what might be out there that could work. You know, the Lakers back in the late 60s, including the 1970 loss to the Knicks in 7, because for years it was always are the Lakers going to get past the Celtics? Well, they never did. They lost in 69 when they should have won. Then 1970 rears its head. Bill Russell retires in 1969, and all of a sudden the Knicks are the new Celtics. Lakers play the Knicks, and they end up losing to the Knicks now. Then they get beaten 71 before they get to the finals, and then finally what did they do? They went and found a NX Celtic. Bill Sharman and even Casey Jones was a part of that 72 team, and it went the way it went in a positive way. Unfortunately, they did lose the following year again, which a lot of people don't talk about. That finals loss, when I do my research on that was a terrible loss, considering getting over the hump in 72, and they don't finish it off with back-to-back titles. So maybe the Lakers need to start finding maybe another ex-Celtic to come over. Now, the reason why I bring that up is there's a gentleman named Mike Zarian. You had mentioned Tim Conley the other day, and
that's only if he takes his opt-out after the season.
Okay, so Mike, so Conley is not likely to leave because he might be on the precipice of a 5 to 6 to 7 year run right now. If Minnesota wins it all, he's not going to want to leave. Not for the Lakers, not for Real Madrid, not for the Cowboys, not for anyone. So that's not realistic. I just don't see how that's going to be in any way a chance of getting somebody like that, because he got a lot of crap, right? After what he did last year.
Yeah.
Got a lot of crap. And now he's doing this to everybody. Right?
That visual.
And if Minnesota ends up winning it all, he's going to be going with both at that point. And I gotta admit, I'd be pretty happy for him.
I just remember right? Chevy Chase and Fletch. That's all I say.
Well, this is more Ari Gold. I got this from Ari Gold, not from Fletch. But I'm a huge Fletch guy.
That was a classic scene, though.
Yes, it was.
Thought you were gonna do Mr. Garrison, the It from South Park.
I don't watch South Park like you guys. But
Gerald knows what I'm talking about.
I did watch Team America a few times, though. Very, very good flick.
Team America, World Police.
That's not how it sounded, but that's the good try. But
Hans Brick.
Oh, hey, Hans. How's it going? The Celtics have a VP of operations that I've been kind of eyeing. The reason why is they're a little next level up there with the big man, and his stock is only going to go up if the Celtics end up winning it all, right? So Brad Stevens has created this atmosphere of excellence. They're continually being the top of their conference. They're winning they smoked Miami for the first time in a while. Usually, even when they had beaten Miami, it was always some kind of a struggle. But they smoked them in this one. And there's some momentum now that's building over there. And again, it's looking like Celtics are going to get to the finals. The only hope we have right now is Anthony Edwards or the Denver Nuggets. Otherwise, this year could very well be a double smack in the nose if the Celtics win it, because now the Lakers are going to have to again win 2 more to pass them, which is going to be brutal. But Rob Pelinka is not likely going to go anywhere. There's no news. There's no hints at anything like that happening. We do have a hint that Darvin Ham is leaving.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say Jovan Buha from The Athletic is saying it could happen as early as tomorrow.
Okay, good. So now, how do you make up for your famine, most of the famine that you've created? You got to pick the perfect coach for this next year. And you have to re-sign D'Angelo Russell. Not because I want D'Angelo on this team, because I think he's going to be the third star or anything like that, because it's a business decision and it's a leverage decision.
Asset management.
You cannot lose that contract. You do, and he's talented too. You do keep the continuity should you go into next year with him. And guys, this was one of the best, if not the best, shooting Lakers team ever, which only makes the Darvin Ham situation even worse. This guy, the Lakers finally had good shooters.
They had health with LeBron and AD.
They had health with LeBron and AD, and they still couldn't do what needed to get done. Because we watched how the offensive sets went. We saw the plays coming out of timeouts. We saw the effort. We saw the dead space. Guys, I know that these guys are professionals, and I know everybody needs to be an adult and motivate themselves. We say that it should be that way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that all the time. You do need someone to put their foot in their asses. And if the word came out that LeBron was butthurt because the coach was telling him that he was complaining too much after a phantom foul or no foul or whatever, then at that point we can pretty much destroy LeBron at that point. And if you're a real team owner, decider, if that's your top player doing that stuff, then it's your responsibility to make sure that that cancer needs to go, regardless if it's LeBron James. If it's LeBron James when he was 32, that'd be difficult. But this is LeBron James at 40. If LeBron James isn't going to listen to the coach and continue to do that crap, then you need to get rid of him. It's not worth going through all this to lose in the first round and constantly week in and week out deal with losing when you don't have to lose. If you're going to lose with trying to get to another setup instead of going, because this is going down now. It's not going up. It's not a guy in his fifth or sixth year trying to continue to get better. LeBron is kind of he's staying there as much as he can, more than we've ever seen anybody. But it's gonna go down here faster than it would go up. And if he's a problem, if he's not going to listen to the coach, then that needs to be dealt with from a roster standpoint. Rob Pelinka doesn't have that kind of nut to do. Jeannie doesn't definitely have to do because she's so star-driven, and she always uses her dad as a... I find it hilarious that I hear so much out of her mouth that her dad, and that's great. I talk about my parents too, God rest their souls, and I love them too, and I want to prop them up as much as I can. But then I also see the other side. Oh well, you know, the culture of, well, I'm a female owner and I'm this and I'm that. I'm like, well, which one is it? Are you going to keep saying that you're going to do what your dad did, or are you going to have your own identity? Can't do both. Okay, stop getting into your feelings. And we know that that's not happening, folks. We saw the head on the shoulder, right? We saw it. That's who your leader is. Head on the shoulder during a game. You know, I never saw Dr. Buss put his head on Shaq's shoulder or Magic's shoulder or Kareem's
No, he
shoulder.
had two blondes beside him.
Exactly. He took care of business the way you're supposed to. Now, as far as his extracurricular personal stuff, that's his life. And it didn't seem to seep into his business side, which is probably why we admire Dr. Buss. But how this is going to play out is that Rob Pelinka isn't going to go anywhere. Darvin Ham is going to get fired. And now it's Rob Pelinka's job to get the perfect coach. Yes, I said perfect. There is no room to have anything other than that. And then you got to make sure that next year's roster is better than this year's roster. Can you do that? We'll see.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack. It's Gerald Glassford along with Joe Soro, of course, and Magic Man Sean Grice. Great to have you here. Please like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. Magic Man, It was asked in the chat what we would give as a overall grade for the performance to date as Rob Pelinka as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. So be that in mind. Quickly, a D shot into mind for me. It was, yeah, obviously he got a lot of help, designing the team that won the 2020 championship. He should get partial credit for that. But then again, after that, it's gone downhill, gone downhill, gone downhill, with one fleeting trade deadline where he did get the team better. So with that said, I said D. It just stuck out my mind and it's right there. Overall, what kind of grade would you give Rob Pelinka?
Overall or just this year?
Overall. I mean, you're not just evaluating year by year. You got to go through. He now has a history. It's now not just 1 or 2 years, Magic Man. He now has a tenured resume for years and levels of success and not so much success for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yep.
Joe says C minus. I say D.
17-18, he'd get a D. 18-19, he'd get an A, but that's really mostly on Irvin because Irvin brought LeBron James to LA, not Rob Pelinka.
Who do you credit for the AD trade?
I credit Rob Pelinka for that. So next year, that's an A. 2021, that's definitely a C plus. 22-23 is an F. Last couple of years, I'd give him C plus. So I'm with Joe. I think overall it's a C minus. Like for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think for 8 seasons as a GM, he's gotten 2 A's, 1 F, and I'd give him a B for 1 and 4 C's. So yeah, I think he's really like a C plus.
Okay.
GM.
You're very kind to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, Gerald, being fair overall.
Okay.
But I want to go back to, and I'll post this in the chat, to his original interview that he did with, and I got to do this, Lakers reporter Mike Trudell, who doesn't report on anything Lakers. It's usually Woj or Shams or Chris Haynes, but yet Mike Trudell calls himself Lakers reporter. Trudell asked him the following question. Looking at the current roster, do you know how to approach things? As in, how do you weigh trying to make a move to get a star versus letting the young core more fully develop? Adding to it with trades, free agency, and the draft, plus letting certain contracts expire. Is there a general philosophy, or do you simply have to see what is available at first and then move from there? Here's Pelinka's response, Gerald. I'll just read the first couple of sentences. The most important thing is that when there is extraordinary success, you can get to a place in life where you rest on that success.
Not been so much success lately, has there been?
Yeah, that's Rob Pelinka in a nutshell. Then he goes on to say, because he gets very philosophical, and Joe brought up Ari Gold doing this. There's a great scene in Entourage where a filmmaker named Carl Urtz is sitting down with Vincent Chase, who's just come off a bomb movie, Gerald. He sits him down, they're having lunch, and an agent walks by, and Vince turns to Ertz and says, well, he looks unhappy. And Ertz says the most apropos thing in the whole series. He's an agent. They're all pricks. And this is Rob Pelinka. As he goes on, he says, and then to the specifics to team building, there are a lot of uncertainties. Do we have our draft pick in June or do we not? Gerald, that was in April of 2017. We're in May of 2024, and we still don't know if we have our draft pick in June or not. We're in this almost same exact spot we were when he took the job. What free agents do you extend? What free agents become true free agents? What about trading? There are millions of combinations. It's almost like a Rubik's cube. So he tries to be very philosophical and bullshit his way through answers, Gerald. The fact of the matter is that can you really pin down what Rob Pelinka's team building philosophy is, Gerald? No,
I don't think he can.
I don't think he can either. Joe? Yeah. I don't think he has a philosophy personally.
I mean, you can see it like us. I know I use often OKC as an example. You can see what OKC did as a platform, as a way to build a team in the way that Presti wanted to build the team.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
see,
Perfect example, Gerald. Presti has a vision and a philosophy, and he sticks to it. Yes. Go on, Joe. Yeah.
Minnesota, you could say with Tim Conley, as soon as he got there, he had already built a championship level team in Denver. He goes there, he makes what a lot of people thought, including us, was a very, I guess, bad trade. You could say, still, Rudy Gobert for that many picks, I still kind of makes you like, kind of makes you still queasy. But you know what? Look where it's got them. It's got them on a matchup coming up soon with Denver in the second round of the playoffs, and quite possibly, if you listen to me, maybe a win out of it. So again, just put them in a. You can see with the winning team,
West, Worldwide West and the Knicks, Gerald.
Yeah, you can see the way that they've established their vision and how it goes. With Rob, one year he wants to collect all the old all-stars in the world. The next he wants to go super young because he wants to go completely opposite and inexperienced. Yeah, and then it does not evaluate talent well. When it comes right down to it, he just does not evaluate talent very well. He does not have a proven track record for it. Nobody in the chat that has defended Rob has been ever able to give me, Joe,
or me,
any or Sham, any substantive reason how they can say he's a good evaluator of talent, Joe, because he's all the talent he has drafted or has been responsible for drafting. He's let them get away.
And that's almost worse when you do your homework and you actually get the right guys through free agency, through the second round, through the first round, whatever, and then don't value them and then treat them. I still remember Alex Caruso saying during that summer, no one's hit me up. This guy closed out a championship for you. This guy is you hear these schmucks talk about team and we're here for the team and we're here team and we're this team and we're a family. Man, fuck you. You don't even talk to the guy after all he did for you, worked his rear end off. Oh, I see. You're looking at it, well, we gave him the chance. Look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. If the Lakers didn't pick up Caruso, somebody else would have, and he would have been successful too.
Presti said he didn't want to release Caruso, but he had no choice.
Can't hold more than 15. It's just what it is. So the Lakers didn't have to do that, right? They had him, and they knew what they had. And what they had was in a year, the first team All-NBA defensive player who wasn't drafted. I think that's bigger than a first overall pick getting that spot. Who the hell makes the first? I know there's probably been one, but I had never heard of a non-drafted player make first team All-NBA. Never. Well, that's the first time I can remember.
I can think of one, Joe. He was a 3-time defensive
Ben Wallace.
player.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. There you go.
But,
maybe a perimeter player.
But okay, yeah. they're few and far between.
Yeah.
They don't grow in trees.
Perimeter players it's much more difficult because Ben Wallace, I know he's not 8 feet tall or 7 feet tall, but guys that are 6'9" and 6'10" that have some athleticism, they're going to get a shot in the NBA if they can actually walk, right? But somebody like Caruso is 6'3", 6'4", and doesn't have central casting on the physique. Those things actually do happen, by the way, folks. People will look at certain players and go, I don't think this guy's going to be good. And that's why there's so many bad GMs in the NBA. But in that case, you found a diamond in the rough and you let him go. Then you draft Zubac in the second round. You trade him for 5 used Skittles from the ground. Eating Skittles. That's what you traded him for. What else? Then you sign THT, and he bombs. Then you draft JHS last year when you had at least one player that we all knew was better than him. And you didn't pick him. You didn't pick the best player available at that moment. I'm not going to go into Triple J and Padziayeski, however you say his name. We didn't know. That's one of those 2020 hindsight things. Those are 2020 sites. Forget about that for a second. No one was talking about those guys during the draft at that moment. I'm talking about best player available that we knew was.
Oh yeah, you and I were screaming Cam Whitmore.
Oh,
no
and
doubt
Joe,
about it. But Triple J was drafted right behind him.
Right. Go ahead.
Prior to Alex Caruso, the last undrafted player that made the All NBA first team defensively was Bruce Bowen.
That's right.
So that's how far you got to go back.
And Miami's good at doing that too, right? Miami picked him up initially. He played in Miami. So that's what, 1 in every 20 years?
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. And the Lakers had that. They found that, and yet they let it go. So you're just as big of a chump for finding something good and letting it go than you are just finding it. Because that doesn't do us any good.
I mean, look how many players are still left playing that could have been on the Lakers.
Rob Pelinka Rob Pelinka's legacy is going to be the Russell Westbrook trade.
Unfortunately,
unless which is the worst thing he did.
The worst trade in Lakers history belongs to Rob Pelinka.
By far. Number 1, and I would even put it at number 2 just because it's that bad.
Wow.
When someone says, what's the second worst trade? Russell Westbrook. Wait, that's first. Yeah, it's that bad. It seeped over to second too. So the way he can make up for this lost time is he finds the perfect coach. Not the right coach, not a good coach. The perfect coach. Now, question is there a perfect coach out there? I don't know. I'm not a general manager in the NBA. I don't have time to go scout the planet for that coach. That's your job, Rob Pelinka. You need to go find it. And Jeannie needs to give you the resources to go find it. And your 2 stars need to play a little bit of a plan in that to see what they want a little bit so that they're comfortable and that they're going to show leadership by listening to the perfect coach so that the other 10 and 12 players and 13 players are going along. Because if you're really wanting to win a championship, that's the shit you got to do. I don't have to tell you this. LeBron's won a championship 4 times. AD's won a championship at every single level. I don't need to tell these guys this. They know it. But can you execute it game in, game out, year in, year out?
If you fire Darvin Ham tomorrow, as if the reports are true, Gerald, and the Mavs eliminate the Clippers Saturday, you've got your perfect coach.
There you go. Now,
I wouldn't say perfect, but
I would say close to it, Gerald.
Yes, I would say Ty Lue is the perfect coach for this team right now.
Okay.
Now, the question is, why would Bombers fire him? For what? Is he going to start over?
Because they have differing philosophies on team building, and Ballmer is. I don't need to tell you guys. You're older than me. You've seen Steve Ballmer in action. Gerald, wouldn't you consider him one of the more impatient CEOs, probably in American business history?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
But he's also got that fancy new arena. I keep stressing it. You want to make sure you fill that fancy new arena
well,
with.
Ty Lue
Gonna get
isn't gonna
filled up.
fit. Ty Lue isn't gonna help you sell tickets, right, Gerald?
Mhm. No, but he's supposed to help build a team or
They're still gonna
get a
go there,
veteran team.
Gerald. This is 2024. The Chicago Bulls have sucked ass since 1999.
Yeah, good point. And they lead the
They're
league
gonna
in
sell out
attendance.
because what have we talked about during how many playbacks? Okay, what are people doing at these games? What are they marketing? They're not marketing people like us. We are nothing to these people other than what we're doing now, talking about them on a podcast or watching. They want these guys. Why do you think they show that stuff on every broadcast? It's not by accident. They don't want me at the games. I'm an eyesore at the game. I'm an eyesore on the show for these reporters, these insiders. I'm bad for their agenda. The only thing that can save us, I'm not saying just me, it's Sean plays a part, Gerald plays a part, but Gerald's more of a straight-laced. Sean is a little more understanding, still has a soft heart. Me, yeah, whatever. But
Your dick.
Point is, you got to know what the process is. The process is we already know who they're going after and what they're getting, and they're getting it. And they've made money even when there isn't an ass to a seat. We saw it during COVID. And this is a discussion I had even before COVID even started. I said the NBA contracts, the NFL contracts, the Major League Baseball contracts cover all the BS. They don't need people at the stadium anymore because they got those TV rights. They have billions of dollars that are going in their pockets. Sure, of course they want people coming to the stands and buying concessions and getting season tickets because that's just extra money so they can go buy their fourth and fifth yachts. But they still have three. Right? Gerald, you know about this in the video game world, right? All these guys, you got these guys at Warner Brothers, you got these guys at Sony who are laying off anyone that's taken a leak at a bathroom at their offices. And they're collecting $49.5 million bonuses for all their top guys. They don't give a damn about you or me. And how do they get you into that web? Well, they get the Trudells, they get the Shams, they get the Wojs, they get the, I don't know if Buhan is part of that group. I don't know him very well. But they get all those guys licking and eating out of their ass so that they can have that mouthpiece out there that's only to them. And the moment they Ramon Shelburne them, she goes to Philly. They send her to Philly. You ever notice how anytime something happens on the West Coast, everybody ends up in Philly? What the hell is that all about? What is that? Like purgatory in the NBA? Like, hey, Philly is the Siberia. If you were in Russia, that's Siberia. No one wants to go to Philly, right? Because you got to deal with the fan base over there. Maybe, I don't know. But
and they have trouble keeping credentialed reporters in Philadelphia, Joe. I'm not sure what it is, but the Philadelphia Inquirer used to be a newspaper. I'm not sure if it is
it'd be a
anymore.
good question to ask Stephen A. Smith because he worked there for a long time.
Yeah, it used to be. I remember it used to be a newspaper. I'm not sure if it is anymore, but yeah, I agree, Joe. And Gerald, look at it this way too, from just an evaluation standpoint. Pelinka hired Luke Walton. He kept Luke Walton around. And Luke Walton was inexperienced. So he really couldn't lean on him as far as what kind of team philosophy to build around because you had signed LeBron James and there's no way, like all due respect to Luke, but there's no way you were going to usurp LeBron's opinion for Luke Walton's. Okay? So you let Luke Walton go. You try and hire Ty Lue, but the Ramby, and I blame them for this, it was their fault, told Jeannie Buss, whispered in her ear, yeah, you know what? Ty Lue's gonna try and tell you what kind of philosophy to build around. Well, I mean, he would know. He's a championship head coach, and they gummed up the works, Gerald. It was Linda Rambis and Kurt Rambis who were responsible for why the Lakers didn't hire Ty Lue. They told Jeannie Buss not to do it. Ty wanted a 5-year contract. Nope, not getting a 5-year contract. So they go down the line. Pelinka goes down the line, and eventually he settles on Frank Vogel. And from his time in Indiana, Gerald, with Larry Bird and what was the name of the guy from Portland, Gerald? It's on the tip of my tongue. Kevin Pritchard?
Yes.
Yeah. You had Larry Bird and Kevin Pritchard who helped you build a team that you had a vision for. Goes to Orlando, tries to get Orlando to a better position. That doesn't work out. Comes to LA, doesn't have the cachet, so to speak. So it's not like, and we know that Pelinka really wasn't bouncing ideas off of Frank Vogel based off the championship. I mean, you would think we need to keep a big team, and Pelinka went the other way with the roster. And now it's Darvin Ham, another inexperienced head coach who doesn't have any say in kind of how the roster is built. But like as Joe has talked about, he basically tried to convince them that he could create water into wine with Russell Westbrook situation, and that that fell through. Look what gets spilled first, right? That old saying. So now Pelinka's in a position where he's going to relieve another inexperienced head coach. He needs to have an experienced head coach for all the reasons Joe said, plus somebody who knows what philosophy to build around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Because you have resources, they are few and far between in a salary cap. So you need to allocate properly those resources to the right areas. And Pelinka has shown he needs help, Gerald. And as Joe had mentioned, the close to perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect, but we're going to use that phrase. You bring somebody like that in, they actually can help Pelinka extrapolate the right resources to get the most out of what we got, because the juice has to be worth the squeeze at this point, and it's not going to be with some rookie head coach.
No,
the
JJ Redick is not a
net,
good choice for
yeah,
the Lakers. I mean, he just doesn't have any experience at coaching at this level.
none.
I think Charlotte would be a great place for him because you can lose 70 times a year. No one will care. It's Charlotte. But to put him and have him his first job be coaching LeBron, look what it just did for Darvin Ham. Is that what you want all over again?
No, I don't think anybody wants that. I mean, yeah, I get it. JJ Redick seems like a young, up and coming go getter, right?
Well, Hernan, I've said that for years that Rondo would be a good pick, but again, because of his legal issues and what Joe says about his temper, that may prevent him from ever being coached. I think he's probably going to get a job, Sean and Joe, as an assistant coach first before he's allowed to be able to get to do the head spot. So
I think that's probably correct, Gerald.
Yeah. Like a Sam Cassell, like you were talking about yesterday, Magic Man.
Ease him into it. Yeah, I think Gerald's correct there.
Hernan asked a question on Joe Myers, Joe. Getting right back down to it.
Bob Myers?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
You said Joel Myers, Gerald.
He said Bob Myers. Oh, I asked Joe my question about Bob Myers. Sorry.
See, that happened to me the other night. I was thinking about Vando. Get mixed up.
Well, I hear Spiro Ditas, and I just think, man, we could have kept him too.
Yeah, that was bad. That was
Joel Myers and Spiro Ditas. Like, They're so much better. They're like leagues ahead of Bill McDonald, but that's just me. Go
Gerald's
ahead, Jim.
correct.
You know,
Go ahead, Joe.
little things will tell you about decision makers.
So what are your thoughts on Bob Myers?
We've discussed Bob Myers. I would prefer Bob Myers over Rob Pelinka, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Myers has a philosophy.
Bob Myers also gets some flack too because he didn't draft Steph, he didn't draft Clay, and he didn't draft Draymond.
But he did build the team that won 4 championships.
He brought
Right,
in Sean
but-
Livingston. He brought in Andre Iguodala. He was able to surround them with very good players.
Sometimes guys are better at managing when they have some people are really they have a talent because sometimes a talented team doesn't win because the leadership can't drive or sail that boat. Bob Myers' small little legacy is that he steered that team as well as you can. However, he's not Presti, right? He's not a builder. Neither was Phil Jackson. Phil was not a builder. He went to ready-made teams, and he did a job that, when you look at his career, other than Shaq, every one of his great players didn't win without him. And then, of course, Shaq won with Pat Riley. I don't know if that counts, but you know how that works. But my thing is,
Clay kind of fell into their lap. It's not as if that was a philosophy either. I mean, the Sacramento Kings, for God's sake, selected Jimmer.
I can only imagine. I don't even
Jimmer.
know. Being a Kings fan must be one of the worst. It's one thing to suck like Charlotte and Washington Wizards, but geez.
Talent just falls.
You had
falls
Clay,
from the
you
sky.
had Luka right there, dude. Just get the son of a gun. And you had a GM who's from the Eastern Bloc. How do you not get Luka? I mean, seriously, come on. But the Lakers have a lot of holes in that boat that continues to stay up, but there's just holes in it. We're not going to get rid of a major hole there, so we have to plug in the other holes to see if it'll keep afloat.
But that's the thing. Do you have any faith Rob Pelinka will be able to build
faith
this
is
team?
not the right word. I don't
Belief.
We say hope because it's part of the English language and it's part of dialogue that people understand.
Belief.
I'll say I hope because it's just, again, it's easy word to say. I don't have faith or hope or anything in life, whether it's Lakers or the world. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't hope for stuff. Either you go get it or you don't.
Are you optimistic about Pelinka?
No. He's shown dick the last 5 years. No. I don't have faith. I don't have belief. I don't have anything that. So in my culture, and it's in every culture, it's just there's different words, obviously, in different language. You'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna go after and get my whatever, a degree or whatever. I'm gonna go get this job." And there's a response to that typically from people around you. It's like, it translates to, "Let's hope it happens." I hate that saying. Hate it. In the Arabic language, you'll hear the word inshallah. Everyone's heard that probably because you've been around stuff the last 20 years. I hate that word. It basically means we'll see. Screw we'll see. We got to go get it. Stop hoping, stop wishing, stop praying. Just go get it or don't. If you can't get it, hey, you gave it a shot. You sucked at it. Go do something else. There have been 100 things I've done in my life that I sucked at, and I got out and I went to something else. I didn't sit there wallow in my own self-pity Oh my God, what am I going to do next? Yay. All you need is one thing to be good at, guys. One. So, no, I'm not going to hope. I'm not going to fantasize. I'm not going to faith or pray or any of that shit. If Rob Pelinka can't get the right near perfect coach, this shit ain't going to work next year. That is the first building block because we know his dumbass isn't going to go anywhere, but he's got to take care of that coach. That coach connects with LeBron and AD and the rest of this team that you have in-house right now. Yes, D'Angelo's part of that. Stick to continuity. If you can't get this thing fixed the way you want, then stick with the continuity. Let these guys continue to. D'Angelo is not a 35-year-old guard. Austin is not a 33-year-old guard. Rui is not a 40-year-old. These guys are young. They can get better or they can get more clutch. We don't know that. All of a sudden, a couple of things don't go our way. All of a sudden, you throw them away and you go start over again. No, you can't do that. You got to keep going. You got to keep going unless you have a Godfather offer that you can't refuse. But those aren't coming, folks. There's not enough assets on this team to do that. So you got to be careful. Get to realistic thoughts in your head. Stop hoping and wishing. What is realistic right now? What's realistic is it's very likely that Darvin Ham is going to get fired by the end of the week. Technically, in a week, Saturday is the end of the week. Sunday is supposed to be the beginning of the next week. So it looks like Darvin Ham's either going to get fired tomorrow or Saturday, right? That's the word. Then you got to make sure you get that coach. And once you do, maybe you don't get that until after free agency. I don't know. But once you are ready to start acquiring, re-signing, whatever it is that it is, drafting, make sure you do those things in your control right. And then you'll start seeing how this thing starts to go the way it's supposed to instead of sitting there with your legs crossed, looking at the sky, meditating, whatever the ice baths, whatever it is that all these jackals do these days. You can't just get up in the morning, go take a walk, go to the gym and lift weights. Now you got to jump into negative 45,000 degree water and say, hey, this will reinvigorate you. Hey, eat this and it'll turn your arms into a tree branch. I don't know what the hell like everybody's got a story. Everybody's got something. Just take care of the job for me, will you, please? Get the right coach. If you can't get a star or a better player, re-sign your guys and go give it another shot next year. You should have regretted this turnaround with players after the Westbrook trade. That should be on top of your screen. Don't do this again. And if you need further proof, all you got to do is fly 1 hour to Phoenix and see what that disaster has turned into. Enough of the 3rd star, 4th star, 8th star. Just build a damn team so you can beat Denver in the playoffs next year. Can you do that for me? A center, a backup big, a viable guard off the bench. They're out there, folks. Show us how good you are.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, Magic Man Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for listening. Magic Man has been very pointed thoughts. Tomorrow I will be on early, 5 p.m. Eastern with Alfred Esmond from Orlando Magic Daily. He and I will be talking about the NBA playoffs and any Laker questions if you guys have them as well. And if Darvin Ham does get fired, I know that Sean or Joe will probably want to go immediately with a reaction video. So if that happens, we'll go ahead and see what we can do about that. But Sean, Rob Pelinka, again, most likely he will be here for the long term. I don't think Genie will pull the plug anytime soon, despite my chagrin on that one. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? We're Lakers through and through. Bleed purple and gold until we keel over. And they got to find the right coach here. That's Pelinka's number one priority. Number one. You are my number one. I just love that quote. I just love that quote. But anyway, got to find your number one guy because Jordy Fernandez, even though he's on the Nets, wouldn't save this ship.
Well,
David Adelman not going to save this ship.
Bickerstaff will probably be fired if Cleveland loses. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, we did have Bernie for 5 games. What a 5-game stretch that was for Bernie.
Don't think that would be a great option either, but just saying. I think Ty Lue, if he does become available, I think he has 1 more year on his contract.
Yeah. But that's peanuts to Steve Ballmer.
Yeah, $7 million, I think is what it's estimated. But yeah, well, again, we'll see. Joe.
Well, and Gerald, you also see all the assistant coaches on that Clippers staff as well. But like I don't think Ballmer cares who coaches the team.
As long as they get him where they need to get him.
You're on mute, Joe.
Go ahead.
As long as Ballmer is sweating all over everybody, I think he's fine.
Develop it.
Every time Kawhi would make a shot, Uncle Fester.
Hey,
I'm a Budenholzer, Hernan. Ham. Where did Ham come from, Hernan?
From a pig's ass.
From Milwaukee,
mm-hmm.
Under Budenholzer.
Oh, sorry. I thought you guys were talking about Ham.
You know what you were talking about. You just wanted to get that in there.
Mm-hmm.
So he has emulated the coaching style of Budenholzer quite a bit. So you'll
did he really?
be getting.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Or was it worse?
Well, I don't know about the management of the timeouts. Maybe would be better with Budenholzer, but the
5
defensive
out.
3.
5
out.
Yeah.
The defensive 3. Yeah. Having AD shoot more threes.
However, is Milwaukee starting to show that maybe it wasn't Bud?
Well, they had injury problems. I will just leave it at that. The Pacers enjoyed the victory. You haven't won a playoff series in about 10 years. Whoop-de-doo. They were due.
Whoop-de-doo.
I wouldn't go nuts over that.
He loves her. She loves him.
Yeah, I'm not really too keen on that. 5 out drop coverage, 3-pointers galore by the other team.
His drop coverage was actually worse than Bud's.
Jay mentions Kenny Atkinson. There's been some rumblings that might be a way as well.
The thing is, he excelled with a team that nobody in Brooklyn expected to excel, with D'Angelo Russell there. That was his only All-Star year. But that was a team that in Brooklyn, nobody thought they overachieved with that team. That was his best coaching performance. So with a team with 2 stars already on the roster, Joe, would he be able to get that same kind of output?
I'll tell you what, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch a lot of Brooklyn games, but you did bring up a good point that Nets team really played well together.
They worked hard. They played hard.
I wouldn't be upset if they hired him.
And Kevin Durant ruined it.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, you need to play DeAndre Jordan, my buddy, please. I know this Jared Allen is really good, but you got to play my buddy DeAndre Jordan.
That's a guy who may be available, Jared Allen, because if they break up that tandem, because in Cleveland,
now you're talking good stuff. Thank you, Gerald. You waited an hour and a half to say what I've been waiting to hear. Thank you. Instead of talking about goddamn Dejounte Murray for the 80th time.
That's the chat.
You should. You are the podfather. You need to coach this shit the right direction. You're Darvin Hamming it right now. Until you just Kenny Atkinson it by going to Jared Allen. See, we need to thank Jay for this.
It didn't occur to you in the last 90 minutes to go ahead and suggest him yourself.
Jay, congratulations. You.
Well, actually, I brought up Jared Allen, Joe.
Well, I'm talking about Jay.
It didn't occur to him, Sean, in the past 90 minutes to mention him himself.
It did not. So no. Gerald did not Darvin Ham himself.
Cam Johnson needs a new change of scenery. He needs a change of scenery because he was terrible last year, and Mikal Bridges was terrible last year.
I like that Cam Johnson when he's wide open, Gerald.
Yeah, but he has got to refine his stroke, and I think he needs to do it somewhere else.
Yeah. The Nets have acquired numbskulls nonstop since that team. They had Kevin Durant, Kyrie before he had a renaissance in Dallas, and then of course that studio gangster quitter Ben Simmons.
Hernan Quinn Snyder just signed last year with Atlanta. He's only like a little over a year season because he came in like late in the season before. So he's like only had one full season with Atlanta.
And I really haven't heard any credible sources, Gerald, that says he's kind of in trouble or is.
Oh, he's got like 5 years on his contract.
Is in trouble or he's somehow disgruntled with the Hawks. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
And by the way, we could have hired him a few years ago. I mean,
and he has those Laker ties. So.
When the Lakers fired Mike Brown. When Kobe went into the huddles, Quinn Snyder was the guy he was talking to. It wasn't Mike Brown. But who did the Buses hire, Gerald? Jell-O eaten on a YMCA pea-stained mattress, Mike D'Antoni.
But
thank you.
True story.
But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Magic Man Sean Grice and Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for listening. I will be on tomorrow. I don't know if these guys want to do a late show. We can always do a late show if they're available, but it's Friday night.
I have a very strong feeling that we're going to get an announcement tomorrow, and we're going to have to do an impromptu.
We'll do an impromptu. Yeah, okay, if that's the case.
I've actually cleared Friday in my work day. I'm going to be moving stuff from.
Okay,
I'm going to be moving stuff.
I will make myself available for a good portion of the day as well. I'll try.
I'm going to be moving stuff locally. So the second this situation happens, I can do a quick computer check.
I'm tied up a little bit until mid-afternoon.
That's not good enough, Sean. I'm very disappointed.
Shut up, Joe.
There you go. But also, of course, the Lakerholics, they are going to be on Saturday at 10 a.m. So you can discuss Laker Tom's fascination with Miles Turner for 2 swaps and 2 first-round draft picks. I just put a facepalm emoji on Laker Tom's Twitter.
What needs to be done is you need to tell him to get off the reefer.
Yes, or cut back significantly.
Folks, I know marijuana is a lighter drug, but it still makes you dumb when you smoke it too much.
It affects your frontal lobe, ladies and gentlemen.
Guys,
that's where the logical part of the brain is.
This is the proof when you don't do drugs. Look how sane someone can be. Right?
Hunter Thompson said the only difference between sane and insane is the word in, Joe.
Imagine if there was something in there. Imagine how different it would be.
Remember, this is also a man who consumed the adrenal gland.
Okay. And on that note, I set the times for Alfred Esmond and I on at 2 p.m. Pacific, plus also Laker Tom and the Lakerholics on Saturday at 10 a.m. PST. If Darvin Ham is fired and if that news drops, we will go live on the air with a reaction video ASAP as soon as we can.
Are we going to play the Boys to Men song?
I'd like to play that. I'd like to play that.
We'll be able to monetize the video.
I'd rather play that Al Gore gag I sent you guys earlier today. Can we get away with that, Gerald? Is that
Probably not.
copyright? No, that'd be copyright infringement. Really?
If you can flash it on the screen for just a few seconds, I believe, and then those.
JY, that's who I wanted 6 years ago. Was Jay Wright?
We will have a pizza party. Well, Hernan, you are the master chef.
Earth, Wind, and Fire celebrate good times.
Your food selection. So definitely would love to see what you have as far as a pizza party is concerned. So, but we'll wait and see. Jay Wright, what do you think? Man, it's going to take a lot of money to get him out of Villanova.
He ain't getting out. No, he ain't getting.
Yeah, that's.
I would hire Jay Wright.
Yes, been your man, Joe.
I would have hired Jay Wright 6 years ago with a new team on the come up.
Good point.
That Jay Wright is likely
Mr. Cool inside and out.
He's Nick Saban. He's done. He's won his championships. He's a Hall of Famer, and just. God.
By the way, he must be a proud papa today. Those Villanova trio.
They move on
real well.
Could you imagine if the Knicks won it all with the Villanova crew? As popular as the Big East is, and their Knicks, that would
eclipse even their 73 title.
Honest to God, I think it would. It really would. I think this would be this is a New York team. I mean, look, it would be so amazing. Sean left.
I just thought it was hilarious.
He mic dropped himself.
Yes, he did mic drop himself. But I just thought it was hilarious when the ownership of Philadelphia tried to buy up as many tickets as possible for tonight's
Padres
game.
always do that with the Dodgers.
Gerald, they got so pissed at all the New York Knicks fans.
The Carolina Hurricanes have done that to the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
Only North Carolina residents can buy tickets to Carolina Hurricanes.
I went on StubHub this morning, and there were still plenty of tickets available. So I'm sure there were more than a share of Knicks fans there. So,
and like. It's pretty hackneyed. I mean, he calls himself Troel. He kind of trolled himself by shouting out Knicks fans. I mean, we all know what you're trying to pull there, Joel.
Well, he gets injured every year, and
he's always had an eye for New York, Gerald. Yeah. You know that. It's always been a wandering eye down the highway.
Him and Zion, they'll be great together, along with LeBron on the front line. There you go. Everybody wants to go to New York, so there you go. It is the Lakers fast break. It is, of course, Joe Soro and Magic Man Sean Grice. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out?
No.
Okay. And on that note, if there is something going on with Darvin Ham, we will go immediately on the air, or as fast as we can. And then, of course, also as well, I do have a regular scheduled show at 2 p.m. Pacific on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday, the Lakerholics with L. Rob stopping by Saturday at 10. So look forward to that. But otherwise, you will see us here hopefully tomorrow on an emergency podcast announcing the firing of Darvin Ham, according to many reports. Will that happen? We'll wait and see. Unfortunately, we will not be able to see a firing for Rob Pelinka anytime soon, even though we want it. But please tell us your thoughts in the comments below or anytime right here on what the Lakers should do for the future at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.